Okay, I've just been given this Singer 401A or Slant-o-Matic to work on. It was purchased by someone on Facebook Marketplace who asked me to service it for her. She said that she could get it to do straight stitch, but she could not get it to do zigzag, or she could only get it to do a very small, tight zigzag. And so she asked me to take a look and see if I could figure out what was going on. I did an initial inspection. It is in very, very good shape. There is, of course, a little bit of wear on the bed, just along the edge. That's very common. There's some dirt and grime throughout, particularly along this side of the bed, and the tension assembly for the bobbin winder. The bobbin tire actually looks like it's in very good shape and moves freely. It does have a little bit of old oil on it. Same thing, the hand wheel spins really well. There is a gear noise. But great needle movement. It does have a cam inside of it to do a scallop. She says she's never taken it out, so we'll take a look at that. I'm going to do a little test sew before I open it up, and then I'll do further investigations. The bobbin case does look like it's in great shape. The bobbin has two different colors of thread wound on it, a white at the center, black on the outside, which is unusual, but we'll see what we can do with that. It does look like the correct bobbin for this machine. It doesn't look like it's terribly dirty, though there is some lint throughout. The needle, I'm going to swap out for a new needle, but it is seated properly and in the correct orientation. The tensioner does apply and release tension as you tighten it and release it. She had it at 0 tension when she dropped it off. And like I said, great movement. And there's great movement on the cams as well, or on the cam stack as well. So if I put it through its paces, let me do this with my dominant hand, we do get full movement on this side. If we push, full movement. And if we pull, we get full movement on the other stack as well. So that seems to be working as expected. The slider here does produce a small amount of movement on the needle bar, which is a good sign. Like I said, I'm not seeing anything jumping out at me as to why it won't zig. And it looks like we've got BL is our zigzag, or BQ is our multi-stitch zig. So we'll try those once we do our straight stitch. Okay, thankfully the book did come with the manual, so I was able to verify that the threading path was correct through this guide, around the tensioner, and around that post, through the check spring, through the take-up lever, through this guide, down through this guide, that guide, and into the needle. I've got the machine plugged in, and we'll do our test sew. The machine does have its original Bakelite paddle, and the owner says that it works just fine. reverse, though it did make some nice stitches in reverse. This is on, oh, I had it set on 15. Let me move it to 10. Because those are very tiny little stitches. To focus. They seem fine. Front, the back, very fine. Reasonably well balanced. Machine does have quite a noisy sound to it, but it might just because it needs some oil. Let's switch it to a zigzag, which is gonna be, we'll try pattern BL. Switch it to B and L. Switch it to width. We'll keep it at width of 3. I want to see if the zigzag works. Is producing a zigzag. Let's make it to the max width. Try some more. And we are getting well balanced, well formed zigs. So I'm not quite sure. I guess the tension is a little bit off. And there is a kind of a rubbery smell. So we'll give everything a clean and we'll see if we can't make it function just a little smoother. All right, let's give it a go. Okay, taking the top off of the Slant-o-Matic, I wanted to point out that there's a fair amount of old grease hanging out here on the Textilite gear and on the worm gear there. The cam stack has some old sooty, gross looking material on it. The finger on the LK side does move very clearly if you engage the arm all the way. It does have some of that old grease on it. You can see right there. There's the follower. But the action is rather smooth once you've engaged it. Same thing on the AJ follower. If I push this in, I get fairly smooth action, and the follower is just a little bit gummed up, but not bad, and the action down there is just fine. On the needle bar, let me open that up. Get fairly smooth action, a little bit of built up grease, and a little bit of debris, but nothing terrible. So we'll get that cleaned up, and I think that she will be on her way. I also checked the gear, so all the teeth and that feed dog cam all moving just fine. And the wire for the light appears to be fine as well, though the light did not come on, so it might have a bad bulb. So we'll open that up and see if that's something I can replace. Or there might not even be a bulb in there, actually. So we'll open it up and see. On the underside of the machine, again, just a little bit grimy, but not terribly dirty. I did remove a cover plate that was keeping this from getting too bad. Again, we have some old grease and a little bit of fluff and debris, but not a whole lot. It actually looks very, very clean for its age. All the original bars, all the original gears. On the gears here for the feed dogs, a little bit of lint and some old oil, but nothing terrible. And that looks fine as well. If I move the wheel, you can see it looks fine. So we'll just get it cleaned up and it will be in good shape. Screw. Alright, so I'm just about done with the upper area of this Singer 401A. I cleaned out all the lint and detritus. Sorry if you hear snoring, that's my dog. So I cleaned out all the detritus, the lint, the who knows what. That was all in this area, including on the needle bar and on the presser foot bar. I applied oil to this spot here, as well as here at the top of the needle bar. I applied a drop of oil in this channel, as well as along the collar here on the presser foot. I applied a drop of oil here in this oiling port for the tension assembly for the presser foot. And then I applied oil in the oiling ports here, here, and here, as well as oiled back here where it was a little squeaky. Other than that, I also cleaned and flossed all of the presser foot discs, or the upper tension assembly discs. I also made sure that the pin and the tensioner, everything there worked. And then I put a little bit of oil in that oiling hole right there. And I'm going to put a little bit of grease just on the top of this lever where it rubs into that presser foot lift. I also cleaned this area, wiped down the top and applied a very thin coat of oil on the bed because there are some spots where the clear coat is missing, and that nice thin coat of oil made it nice and smooth and clean. On the front of the machine, I took off the face of this dial and cleaned both in and out. And I also cleaned this dial, including along the knurling around this this knob here. I cleaned each of these slots, including the pins on either side and this slot here. I also took off this faceplate, cleaned, there was a bunch of buildup along this edge, so I cleaned that off. Cleaned the underside where there was a bunch of, I don't even know what. And I also cleaned the glass for the light. Other than that, I cleaned off all of that old gunk, oil, grease, whatever, that was piled up on all of these stitches in the cam stack. I also cleaned the set points here for both the A through L and the K through R. Let's see if I can show you that one. This one here. I applied a drop of oil inside this collar as well as this collar, and I think that should be enough. Since it's full metal, I may do a little bit of blue creeper just on the most common stitches here. Other than that, I gave all of this a wipe down with a little bit of crud cutter, which I did not use on the exterior of the machine because of the clear coat issue. I also cleaned the feed dog cam here and this gear, as well as its complement gear underneath, and this worm gear here, and all of those gears and this get grease. There's an oiling port here that I also oiled. I also cleaned the special cam stack space. I cleaned out this space here and this gear, as well as this Textilite gear here. I do still need to do the hand wheel and the clutch area. I'll do that next. I took off this and this, and I cleaned under and around them because they were pretty gnarly. I also cleaned the mechanism here for the bobbin winder, and applied a little bit of grease in this joint, as well as in this oil in this point and in this oiling port there. I will note that underneath this tensioner for the bobbin winder, there is a little bit of rust. I have a suspicion that someone sprayed this machine with some kind of harsh chemical. When I wiped it down with water, I could see spaces where it looked like somebody had sprayed something and then wiped it up. So I think that's probably why the clear coat is damaged in some areas, and that may also explain why there's a little bit of rust under here. So I put a little bit of protectant oil just to keep that rust at bay. The only thing I have left to do, I'm going to, of course, do the clutch and the hand wheel and finish cleaning under here. I'm also going to clean out this channel and clean out this handle. And then I'm going to take off this throat plate and mechanism and clean underneath of it. I've done that for every model I have with one of these, and it's always very satisfying. So I'm going to do that next. And the other thing that I've done so far is I went through with a Q-tip, well, first with a blower, then with a Q-tip, Tried to get as much of the lint and fuzz out of the race as I could. I also blew some air down in here, I rotated the wheel and tried to clean underneath the race. And I also tried to clean out this channel where the bobbin housing mechanism rests. And then I got a bunch of shellac, old oil and grease that I picked out of here. You can see there's still some of that there. So next up, I'm going to do the hand wheel and the clutch mechanism. Then I'm going to flip the machine over to the underside and then come back and give this a nice deep clean. And that's what's left. Here I am on the underside of the Slant-o-Matic. I just finished wiping everything down. I cleaned out a little bit of old grease in this gear, and I'll apply some new grease. Same thing with this set of gears, except for it also had a little bit of lint that I got out with a dental pick. I also checked all the springs. This one had a little bit of fuzz in it that I took out. And this one had a little bit of dirt in it that I took out. Get it to focus, or try to get out. Also wiped down the interior of the machine and wiped down this section of the machine that was covered in old oil and grime. But I'm being very careful. I don't want to damage any of the paint. Other than that, the underside of the machine looks really good. I also cleaned this mechanism from the underside and from the top. So that is this guy here. So I actually took this whole plate off and all the pieces, and I got them all cleaned up and re-oiled. I also took off this plate and just cleaned around the edge to make sure that it didn't have anything stuck in there. I cleaned this bobbin mechanism, including inside the oil port, put new oil. Cleaned under this mechanism, which was caked in old oil. I took off the hand wheel and cleaned the Textilite gear and the worm gear inside. I also took off this clip and cleaned underneath of it. And I took off the clutch and cleaned all the clutch pieces as well. Other than that, the machine should be done. I'm going to put it all back together and see if we can't do some fun stitches with it. Okay, we're going to do some sample sewing and see how we get on. Try holding the phone right here. And we are going to start with a straight stitch, which is, we'll go AK in the middle position with the machine set at number 10. Okay, so the stitches look straight and even, and the back looks straight and even. I think we're okay there. Now we're going to try a zigzag. For this, we're going to start with BL, position B, position L, okay, that's giving us good stitches. Let's try BQ. Actually, let's try a wider BL, and then we'll try BQ. Let's try BQ. BQ is the multi-stitch zigzag. We're going to put it at number 3. Okay, I'm getting a very, very shallow zig. So let's try it at 5. Let's try that same stitch at a number 1. No width, good. And let's try using BR. Oh, gotta change the width. Okay. It doesn't actually look bad. Specialty stitch. Let's try H L. Oh, I put the needle up. This is stitch width 4, HL 15 stitches. Okay, let's try it on extra wide. Okay, I think we got it working. The stitches look really good. The back looks okay. All right. We have zigzags.